Let me guess something about your experience with ChatGPT. You tried it, you typed something in, you got back a response that was either too long, too vague, too generic, or just not quite what you were looking for. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a small voice said, maybe this AI thing is slightly overrated. Here's the truth. ChatGPT was not giving you bad answers because it is a bad tool. It was giving you bad answers because of the way the question was asked. And that is not a criticism. It is just the most important thing most beginners never get told about how AI tools actually work. The quality of what you get out of an AI tool is almost entirely determined by the quality of what you put in. And once you understand that, and once you know the simple framework for putting better things in, the tool you have already been using becomes a completely different experience. That is what this video is about. Not a new tool, not a paid upgrade, just the one shift in how you communicate with ChatGPT that changes everything about the results you get. My name is Sarmatic, and I am an AI avatar. And on this channel, we make AI practical for people who are curious but do not know where to start. No jargon, no technical background required, just honest, practical guidance on how to make these tools actually work for your life. By the end of this video, you will have a clear, simple framework for writing prompts that get genuinely useful responses from ChatGPT every time. And we are going to look at real before and after examples so you can see exactly what the difference looks like in practice. Let's get into it. To understand why ChatGPT sometimes gives unhelpful answers, you first need to understand what ChatGPT actually is doing when it responds to you. ChatGPT is not searching the internet for the best answer to your question. It is not thinking about your specific situation. It is generating a response based on patterns from an enormous amount of text it was trained on, and it is calibrating that response to match the level of detail and specificity in the prompt you gave it. Which means if your prompt is vague, ChatGPT will give you a vague answer. If your prompt is generic, ChatGPT will give you a generic answer. Not because it cannot do better, but because you have not given it enough information to do better. Think of it this way. Imagine you walked into a doctor's surgery and said, "I do not feel well. What should I do?" The doctor cannot give you a useful answer with that information. They need to know your symptoms, how long you have had them, your medical history, your age, what you have already tried. The more specific you are, the more useful the advice becomes. ChatGPT works the same way. The more context, specificity, and direction you give it, the more useful and targeted the response becomes. There are three specific reasons most beginners consistently get underwhelming results from ChatGPT, and they all come back to the same root cause. The first reason is prompts that are too short. Most beginners type one or two sentences and expect a comprehensive, useful response. ChatGPT needs more to work with than that. A prompt that is too short leaves too much room for the tool to fill in the gaps with assumptions, and those assumptions are almost always generic. The second reason is missing context. ChatGPT does not know who you are, what you do, what you have already tried, or what a good answer looks like for your specific situation, unless you tell it. When that context is missing, the response has to be written for everyone, which means it is perfectly useful for nobody in particular. The third reason is no defined output. Most beginners ask ChatGPT what to do without telling it what format they want the answer in, how long it should be, or what they plan to use it for. Giving ChatGPT a clear picture of the output you need is one of the fastest ways to dramatically improve the quality of what comes back. The good news is that fixing your prompts does not require learning anything complicated. It just requires a simple framework that you apply every time you ask ChatGPT something important. I call it the 5-part prompt. And once you have used it a few times, it becomes second nature. You will not even think about it. You will just naturally write better prompts because you understand what ChatGPT needs to give you a useful answer. Here are the 5 parts. Part 1 is role. Tell ChatGPT who you want it to be for this conversation. Not literally who it is, but what perspective you want it to take. Act as an experienced marketing consultant. Act as a plain English explainer for someone with no technical background. Act as a direct, no-nonsense business advisor. Giving ChatGPT a role immediately narrows the lens through which it generates its response and produces something far more tailored than a default answer. Part 2 is context. Tell ChatGPT the relevant background information it needs to understand your situation. Who you are, what you do, what you are trying to achieve, what you have already tried, what constraints you are working within. The more relevant context you provide, the less ChatGPT has to assume. And assumptions are where generic answers come from. Part 3 is the task itself. This is the actual request. Be specific about exactly what you want ChatGPT to do. Not just help me with my email, but write a follow-up email to a client who did not respond to my proposal 3 days ago. The task should be specific enough that there is only one reasonable way to interpret it. Part 4 is format. Tell ChatGPT how you want the answer structured. Do you want a numbered list, a short paragraph, a table, a step-by-step guide, a draft you can copy and paste directly? Specifying the format saves you time editing the output afterward and ensures you get something immediately usable rather than something you have to restructure before it is helpful. Part 5 is constraints. Tell ChatGPT what to avoid, what tone to use, how long the response should be, or any other boundaries that matter for your use case. Keep it under 200 words. Use plain language a 10-year-old could understand. Do not recommend paid tools. Avoid jargon. These guardrails make the response fit your actual situation rather than a hypothetical general one. You do not need to use all 5 parts for every prompt. A simple everyday question does not need the full framework. But for anything important, anything you are going to act on or use professionally, running through these 5 parts before you hit send will consistently give you better results than anything else you can do. Let me show you what this looks like in practice, because seeing the difference between a weak prompt and a strong one is more useful than any amount of explaining the theory. We are going to look at 3 real examples. The same request written 2 ways, the weak version that most beginners write, and the improved version using the 5-part framework. You will see the difference in the responses immediately. Example 1, email writing. Weak prompt, help me write a follow-up email. That is it. No context, no role, no format, no constraints. ChatGPT has to guess who the email is to, what it is following up on, what tone is appropriate, and how long it should be. The result is a generic template that could apply to almost any situation, which means it fits almost no specific situation perfectly. Improve prompt, act as a professional business writing coach. I run a small social media agency, and I sent a proposal to a restaurant owner 5 days ago. They have not responded. Write a short, friendly follow-up email that is warm but creates a gentle sense of urgency without being pushy. Keep it under 100 words and make it feel personal rather than templated. Same request, completely different result. The improved prompt gives ChatGPT everything it needs to produce something you can actually send. Example 2, business advice. Weak prompt, how do I get more clients? ChatGPT can only respond to this with broad, generic advice that applies to every type of business in every market. Network more. Use social media. Ask for referrals. None of it is wrong, but none of it is specifically useful. Improved prompt. Act as a business development consultant. I run a one-person video editing service for fitness coaches. My average client pays £800 per month. I currently have 3 clients and I want to reach 10 within 6 months. I am active on Instagram, but I have not tried outreach or partnerships yet. Give me 3 specific strategies I should prioritize first, with a brief explanation of why each one is the right fit for my situation. The improved version gives ChatGPT your niche, your price point, your current situation, your goal, what you have already tried, and the format you want the answer in. The response it produces is specific, prioritized, and immediately actionable. Example 3, content ideas. Weak prompt, give me content ideas for my YouTube channel. Without knowing your niche, your audience, your existing content, or what has worked before, ChatGPT can only give you ideas that apply to every YouTube channel generally, which means they apply to yours specifically very little. Improved prompt. Act as a YouTube content strategist. My channel is about AI tools for small business owners who are not technical. My audience is mostly people aged 35 to 55 who want to save time and work more efficiently. My best performing videos have been tool comparisons and beginner tutorials. Give me 10 video title ideas that follow a similar format, are optimized for search, and would appeal to someone who is curious about AI but slightly intimidated by it. The ideas that come back from the improved prompt are not just better, they are usable. You could take them directly into production without needing to significantly reinterpret or adapt them first. Before we wrap up, let me give you 3 quick wins you can apply immediately the next time you use ChatGPT. Quick win 1, start every important prompt with Act As. Giving ChatGPT a role to play is the single fastest way to improve response quality. It takes 3 extra seconds and it changes the entire framing of the answer. Quick win 2, add 1 sentence of context about who you are and what you are trying to achieve. You do not need to write a paragraph. Just 1 clear sentence that tells ChatGPT who is asking and why. That single sentence eliminates the majority of generic assumptions that produce generic answers. Quick win 3. Tell ChatGPT what format you want. A numbered list, a short paragraph, a draft ready to copy. Specifying the format is the fastest way to get something immediately usable rather than something you have to spend time reshaping before it is helpful. Those 3 things alone will improve your ChatGPT results immediately. The full 5-part framework makes them even better. But if you only remember 3 things from this video, remember those. And if this video has shifted how you think about AI tools, if you are now starting to see that the gap between AI feeling like a novelty and AI actually changing how you work comes down to how you communicate with it, then I want to point you toward the next level of that. The Sarmatic Faceless Blueprint is a step-by-step course for beginners that covers not just how to communicate with AI tools effectively, but how to build an entire content brand and income stream around them. From choosing your niche and producing your first videos all the way through to growing an audience and monetizing it, using tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and HeyGen throughout. No camera, no technical background, no experience required. If you are ready to go from using AI occasionally to building something real with it, the link is in the description below. If this video was useful, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this content, and it takes 2 seconds. Drop a comment below and tell me what you have been using ChatGPT for and whether the results have been matching your expectations. I read every comment, and I am genuinely curious what most people are using it for right now. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Practical, beginner-friendly AI content every week on this channel. No jargon, no hype, just honest guidance on how to make these tools work for your actual life. I will see you in the next one.